Welcome. With the release of RTX 2012, we incorporated a new licensing system. One of the options inside of that licensing system is something called pooled licenses. So what this is it's targeted at customers that might want to be in a mass production environment where they want to create a single image and then use that same image over and over on multiple hard drives. So in the next couple minutes, we'll talk in more detail how these pool licenses work. We'll show an example, and then we'll have a summary. So what are license pools? All that means is that you have a single activation key and you have multiple licenses associated with that key. So some important information here: each license in your pool, when you activate it, is node locked to hardware. They are non-transferable. And once you consume a license, it decreases the pool size, and we keep track of this on our, as far as licensing servers. The license pool, this is important, is not a floating license. Okay, so once you activate it, you cannot per se check the license back in and then use it on a different machine. So it's a single use type of license. Any unactivated licenses can be upgraded to a future release of RTX, granted you have support. And then finally, license pools can be of any size. So let's go over a quick example of how this works. So here we have your company here. This could be your manufacturing floor. Here's Interval 0, and we have a licensing server here. So first thing you want to do is probably purchase the product. You'll send over to Interval 0 a purchase order, for example, 10 runtimes. We'll receive and process the order, and what we'll do is we'll populate the licensing server with your company information. We'll create an activation key and then have an associated number of licenses that you purchased tied to that activation key. Then we'll email this back to you, and so you'll get the activation key and it'll tell you how many activations or licenses you have with that key. We give you the link to download RTX, so then you can download it from our servers. You'll install, and then finally you'll get to the activation procedure here. So this is the step where you'll take the activation key from the email, you'll enter it here, and if you're ghosting an image, this is where you would actually create another copy of this image where you can mass produce on multiple drives. If you're doing it manually, what you'll do is you'll just activate the product. It will send node lock information back to our servers. You'll see here we'll go from 10 licenses to 9 licenses. We'll send the license back. It'll be deposited on the system, and then your system is activated. So if you were ghosting, this transfer of license would happen at the next power up of the system. So you would be able to ghost the machine with the key inside of it, but then the license exchange will happen at the start or at the first boot of every new machine. So just to go into a little more detail of what you need to do to create a ghost image with RTX. So here we're going to walk through a little example. So first you're going to purchase, of course, RTX, download it and install it. But during the activation process, instead of manually entering the activation key, what you're going to do is you're going to open a command window. As an administrator, you're going to navigate to the RTX/bin directory, and then you're going to call the activation utility manually. So at the command line, you'll type rtx activationutil.exe space -AA for automatic activation at the next reboot space, and then here you'll put the activation key. And so at this stage right here, once you press return, you're ready to ghost this image or to create a clone of it. So once you do that and you have now a cloned image of this drive, now you can actually clone it to or as many drives as you want, as many systems. And so here now you have your cloned drives. And then at the first reboot of that system with that clone drive, what happened is the activation process will start automatically. And remember, we already entered in the activation code at the command line, so it's actually part of the image. And so what will happen is at the boot, and here we're talking across the internet, it will send automatically the node lock information to our licensing server. Now we're down to 9 licenses. We'll create a license, go to 8, send that license over to the system, deposit it, and then this system is activated. So essentially you can do this now over and over again until these licenses, all 8 of them, are depleted and then they go to 0. Okay, so hopefully that helps on what it takes to create a ghost image and to clone drives with RTX. So just to kind of recap, so again, what are pooled licenses? It means that you have a single activation key and you have multiple licenses associated with that key. For ease of manufacturing, just allows you to just use, again, one key. Again, each license in your pool, once activated, is node locked to hardware. They're non-transferable. Each license, once you activate it, decreases from the pool size, and we keep track of that on our licensing server. The pools, these licenses are not floating, so once they're used, you cannot check them back in to transfer them to maybe another machine. Unactivated licenses can be upgraded to future versions, granted you have support. And then finally, the license pools can be of any size, as small as 2 all the way up to thousands. Okay? So hopefully that helped and give you an overview of what pool licenses are. If you have any questions, please contact us and we'd be happy to help.